Dr. Ruth Anderson here with Enlightened World Network. What a great day today. We are going to be exploring tree energy for energies of the new world. And I'm here with Terry Angel and our guest, Carol Ann Cross. Carol, thank you for being here today.
Oh, that's my pleasure, Ruth. I love being with Enlightened World Network, and I love all of the things that we do, and I especially love all the nature spirits, the trees, the fairies, and especially the dragons. So I haven't got any dragons flying around out there at the moment, but I'm sure they'll be around.
Well, this has been great fun for us to be able to explore all of these different energies. And just a little background, I really never thought much about the energy of trees. I've always had a great love for them. Like I would be sad if a tree got injured or, cut down, or I would just feel horrible. But I never really thought that it was a two-way communication. And one summer, where my office was, there was this beautiful bank of oak trees. I mean, they were 50 years old, so they were large and they were gorgeous. And they decided they wanted to enlarge the road, which meant they had to take out this entire bank of trees,
No.
which just broke my heart. And there was nothing we could do. We tried and there was nothing we could do. The day, 2 days before it was supposed to happen, I drove to my office and the energy was angry, angry, angry. And I thought, I'm in the parking lot going, what is this? And I wasn't into energy yet. And I thought, the trees are mad. And I would ask people in the building, say, are you feeling that? And they go, yeah, the trees are mad. So other people were understanding it before I was. The day that it happened, it was horrible because the energy then was like something was being murdered on our property. The fear and the anguish. And it was so unsettling for so many of us in the building. I've never experienced anything like that, but it certainly made me appreciate this energy that is in the trees. So tell us, teach us about tree energy.
Well, the trees are amazing. They do have two spirits that work together, and so there's one that's like a little diva or a small little diva, but the other one is a dryad, Dryad, or nymph. And they're very feminine, and so they're like mothers. This tree is their baby. This is their home, and this is where they live. And this is why those trees were so angry. It was like the mothers, the whole family was being destroyed. And I think this is what's so important when we go walking, even if it's just a smallish tree. You can feel the love and the energy that the tree has for all of us. And so as much as we can, if we can protect these trees, admittedly trees do, they get disease and they need to be taken down or treated. But then that's the same as humans, isn't it? So, the reality of it is if we get sick, we need to be treated. And sometimes we make our transition. And that can happen to a tree as well. But, Mother Nature, her grounding force is the trees. The trees sink their roots down into Mother Earth, and then the spirits are there taking the energy for us. The leaves give us oxygen and all of those things. Mother Earth needs that energy to breathe and to repair and to heal. Just the same as we couldn't live without the trees and their oxygen. And when you think about how we're all tied together with nature, with the fairies, with the dragons, with the bees, with the insects, everything. And our bees have been really affected in Australia, but, they're starting to come good again now. So everything, it all works as a community. And so, I read something yesterday that said that trees are probably the most evolved of all plants because they're multidimensional beings. I'll just read this little bit. They have their roots down deep into earth, which signifies their connection to the underworld. Their trunks and lower branches are in our world, which is the world of man, which in shamanic terms is the middle world. And the branches of the trees reach high into the sky, which makes them a bridge to the upper world. And trees also connect us to the fairy realm, and because the fairy realm works on a parallel dimension to us, so they work with us. And this is why when trees are cut down, it also threatens the fairy world. And because, you know, they live amongst the tree roots and they live in the flowers and the branches and everything. So the trees not only were angry in your case that they were being cut down, but they were affecting the fairy realm as well. And we need to think about the interconnection of all of these things. So, you know, the trees help us to be grounded. And that's one of the things that I find at home. You know, if I'm feeling that I need to ground myself, I can do it a couple of ways. I can go out and walk amongst the trees, or I can go out and actually put my hand on a tree. And then I can feel the healing energy and the grounding of the tree. And I love doing meditations where we ground and go into Mother Earth and become a tree and our roots are going down into Mother Earth. And I'm sure you've experienced that a lot too, Terry.
Absolutely. I love connecting with tree energy. I have a favorite place here where I live that I go, and it's in a very remote part of a park. And there's a tree, we call them banyan trees that are here. They spread, like their branches spread out really far. And this tree is very old. And every time I go there, I talk to that tree. I go up
Yeah.
and I touch it and I talk to it and thank it for being there, for the beauty of it, but also for the energy that it brings to that place where it's at. It's like a big open field, and that's sitting right at the end of it. So yeah, you can really get into their energy and feel the roots of them when you go up and touch them. You feel how deep those roots go.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And then when we walk out in the trees, you know, we could the energy from the universal life force is all around us, as well as all of the divas and the little animals and the gnomes who look after the earth. So they work with the trees as well. And it's just such an amazing, really, network that you know, God, the creator, has set up for all of us. And it's about, for me, it's about appreciating and recognizing that. And, you know, I'll go out and I'll talk to the trees and I'll talk to the plants and you know, it's so healing. It heals you. It heals you right to your very core, I think, when you allow it to, because tree healing helps to relieve stress in your lungs because you're out there in the fresh air and you're breathing in that oxygenated air that the trees have just, you know, just done for us and for Mother Earth, although they've sent hers down into her roots. But yeah, and I think this is part of it, the acknowledgement, as you said, Terry, when we work with the elemental realm, you know, they so appreciate what we do, and then we can appreciate them, and it's just a really, to me, it's a love win-win situation. So yeah.
That's beautiful. Now, Terry, you already had somebody on one of your shows today. I don't know if it was the meditation a day or morning cup of joy, but someone who was already bringing in tree energy.
Yes, that was yesterday. Kira Lani, I don't know if you've connected with her, Carol. She did a beautiful tree meditation.
Oh,
And
I'll have to go and have a look.
yeah, it was a beautiful meditation yesterday, and connecting us with the energy of the tree from the Native American, the indigenous aspect of,
Yeah.
you know, the indigenous respect everything on the earth, and especially our plants, our trees, our waters, even the rocks. You know, everything is sacred. So she brought in some of that sacred energy, and it was just amazing. If you all missed that meditation, it will be a really good one to go listen to again from Kira yesterday.
I will. And you know, you're mentioning rocks. You know, it's amazing to talk to the rocks. You know, if you're out somewhere in the bush and everything has its own spirit, and you know, to go and talk to the rocks, to talk to anything really. And even when the wood has been made into something that, you know, might be a table or something like that in your house, to be able to communicate with that. I don't know if I've told the story before, but a friend of mine, she works with timber, and I did a workshop at her place, and I asked everybody to go and talk to an item in the house. And just one I'll tell you about. One of the girls went and she talked to this beautiful table that Cherie had made from timber, and the table said to this lady, and she didn't believe it until she actually said, and I said, yes, that was the table talking to you. The table said, I've loved being here, but it's time for me to move on now to a home that I can bring more joy and love to, and it's time for me to go. And she gave that feedback, and she said, I don't know where that came from. And I said, well, it came from the spirit of the wood. And Cherie had to smile. She said, the table has actually been sold and it's going to a family that really, really want it. And so, you know, we don't want to cut down the trees, definitely not. But when they can be used for something that is useful and is happy, the important thing is that the tree is happy no matter where it goes. And you mentioning the Indigenous, yes, the Indigenous cultures really revere their trees. And last year, Barry and I went to New Zealand for a holiday, and the Maoris have this, they have their kauri trees. And we went and saw the oldest living tree in New Zealand. It's approximately 2,500 years old, and they call it, I hope I pronounce this correctly, Tana Matara. And she's 45 meters tall, which is something like 150 feet or something like that in metric, in imperial. And because she is so loved, people come and they hug her and they do all these things, and they're bringing spores in from other places. So the protection that they have around her now, it's a big wooden platform you walk around, and you go through, your shoes are sterilised to go in so that you don't bring anything bad in. But this is how much they treasure and honour this tree. And there are kauri forests in New Zealand. And, you know, I think you have your redwood forests in America, don't you? Have I heard of redwood forests?
Yep.
And and in Australia, we have obviously our gums and we have our pines, but they also have what the Aboriginal culture over here calls a sacred tree, which is a tree they can cut to make canoes out of. It's a special kind of tree. So they use the wood in this sacred tree. So, you know, it's fascinating to me that all of the way their cultures and the Indigenous, who were here so much more before us, but they value all of nature because they could use nature for certain ways, but they revered it and honoured it and always told it why they were taking it down or cutting it down or what they were going to use it for. So they have a completely different way of looking at nature and the trees.
So can I share a fascinating thing? It just made sense to me, Carol, after hearing you talk. Before I was into energy, I had gone into an antique store.
Yeah.
Walked in, there's a beautiful quarter sawn oak hutch. And it was beautiful. And the energy in front of it was horrifying. And I was really struck because I couldn't go near it and I could see what had happened. There was a dead body in front of it and
Mhm.
blood and it was just horrifying. And I sat down to just kind of gather my wits because I had no
Mhm.
idea what I was experiencing. And a gentleman came in, sat down next to me, and he said, I don't know what happened in front of that furniture, but it's awful. And that was one of the first times that I really thought, okay, there's this whole world out there I don't understand.
Yeah.
While you were telling this about the tree and the table holding the energy, I wish I knew then what I know now, because sitting in front of that hutch, I could have cleared it. I could have helped heal
Yeah.
the, the tree
Yeah.
that went into that furniture. I'm just understanding that now. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. And the thing to think about that too is that you weren't meant to clear that energy. That you didn't know about it. You weren't meant to. Somebody else was going to come along and do that. So we always need to think about that, and when we understand it, that just makes all the difference, really and truly. But that's wonderful that you were able to pick up on that energy, but the right person was going to come along and clear it. So that's one of the things I used to say to myself, well, why didn't you fix that, Carol, or why didn't you do that? But that at that time wasn't my role to do that. The correct person was going to come along and do that, because I possibly didn't have enough experience or know exactly what it was all about at the time. Because this is the exciting thing about what we're doing now. We're learning so much more and understanding so much more. And we'll never walk out into the garden and look at it the same way as we did a year ago, because we understand so much more. And I think this is one of the amazing parts about us sharing this with people, so that they can understand. But they also don't need to worry if they don't have any big trees in their own garden. When we can get out and about, they can go down to a park or something if they don't have their own trees. And I'm sure they're going to find a special tree that they're drawn to every time they go to that park, or every time they go on that walk. That tree is going to say hello to them and talk to them, and just give them some beautiful energy, because trees are so healing. They really are. I know at times in the past when I've been upset, I go out and have a conversation with the tree, put my hand on it. I don't always cuddle it, because sometimes there's ants crawling on it and I don't really want to get the ants on me. But, I can talk to it, I can put my hand on it, and we can just become one with the tree, which, to me is just so good. And, there's a little thing that I found too, which is advice from a tree. Stand tall and proud. Get out on a limb. Remember your roots. Drink plenty of water. Be content with your natural beauty and enjoy the view. And that's been around for a long while, and I just love that, because sometimes we get bogged down in our day-to-day life, and that's part of the human side that we're living. And sometimes we just need to think about how we can be looking at life differently. And so, thinking about being a tree, and also when you're the tree, you can be up in the upper branches and you can look out and you can see the world from a whole different perspective. So, that's also very exciting.
Well, and I think sometimes the trees actually enjoy having birds come and squirrels come
Yeah.
and, you know,
Oh,
the animals playing around it. I get that feeling.
definitely, definitely. So, do you want to do a little meditation? So, or do you want to wait until the end? What would you like to do?
I do. Terry, what do you think?
Yeah, I would just like to add,
Yeah.
Carol, what you were talking about becoming the tree. When I first heard Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now,
Mm-hmm.
He has you do these exercises, and one of them is where you sit in front of a tree and you become the tree. And you
Mm-hmm.
just sit. You don't force anything. You don't think, try to make any thoughts come. You just allow whatever comes with that communication between you and the tree. And the
Mm-hmm.
first time I did that, it was so powerful. I had
Yeah.
already been in touch with trees. I already knew their energy. But to really be there with that
Mm-hmm.
tree was just amazing. And you
Yeah.
do feel it. You do feel the energy coming back from them when you're giving energy to them. Everything is energy. Trees are
Yeah.
energy.
Yep.
So if we think about it that way, it's just an energy exchange that you're
Yep.
doing with
Yep.
something else.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why, when we walk out amongst the trees, it's just so healing and energizing. And I love a lot, I love Eckhart Tolle's things like that, because they're so easy, but they're so rewarding when we actually do it. And that to me is, all little ticks along the way that make our life what it is. And looking at the background you've got there behind you, Terry, not only have you got the beautiful trees, but you've got the water. And the water is almost singing to us, and that's beautiful as well. So, I can just imagine how beautiful it would be walking through that scenery. It would be really lovely. So, and this is it. Our perception changes as we learn little bits more and a little bit more, and then we go and experience. And I think that's the most exciting thing, is to actually go and experience it. Even if you're not sure about it, because next time, Ruth, you come across something like that in the antique store, you're going to explore that and do something about it, because you're in a different place now. And this is a part of our journey of life, isn't it? That we're learning, we're growing, we're experiencing, and that's just so exciting.
It
So
is. Well,
yeah.
we would love for you to lead us on a meditation.
All right then. So okay, so just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and I want you to visualize your favorite tree. And if you don't have a favorite tree, just visualize any tree. And this is a tree that you have either worked with or you would like to connect with. Sit quietly with your back against the tree trunk. And I want you to ask the spirit of the tree permission to connect with the tree, and also ask the spirit of the tree to make an appropriate opening for you to work, to make a connection with the tree's roots. And as the tree gives you that permission, you become aware of the roots that are below you. Now drop into your center, your heart center. And allow yourself to sink into the roots of the tree. Visualize a doorway that's just in front of you. And this doorway will take you into the maze of the root system underground. Enter the doorway. And perhaps the tree spirit will accompany and guide you as you enter the passageway, which is a tunnel made of deep roots that go deep, deep into Mother Earth. Allow yourself to enter this root realm. This is the past. The roots have been here for a long, long time. You may experience ancient memories or feelings and images of your more recent past. Or you may connect with your ancestors or with a particular earth wisdom. Take your time and enjoy this experience. Earth's wisdom covers a myriad of experiences, lifetimes, realms. You can also feel the energy, the trees going down the roots and into Mother Earth. Feel the connection you have with Mother Earth. The fairy realms. The gnomes. The energy here is so beautiful. It's relaxing and stimulating at the same time. Allow the energy of the tree to send its healing energy to you. So now it's time to come back up along the passageway. Thank the tree spirit and the tree for allowing you to take this journey. And the tree spirit says that you may come back here again at any time that you wish. So we'll just come back into our normal consciousness, feeling nourished and stabilized by this experience. Thank you, tree. Thank you, tree spirit.
Terry, you're muted. I muted you there, but what did you experience, Terry?
Oh my goodness. when you took us down into the roots, down into earth, I felt like I was like this tiny little being, and the roots were huge as I was going down in there. And the song that the tree was singing to me, it's from the Native American songs, and it's the earth is our mother. And it's such a beautiful song. The earth is our mother. We must take care of her. And it was like that was the message they were giving to me to pass on, to share. The earth is our mother. And the trees have this like protective energy of our earth. It was such a beautiful journey, Carol. Thank you. Thank you for
My
leading us.
pleasure. My pleasure.
So,
How about you?
yes, in our backyard, we planted a tree 6 years ago. And it was a good sized tree when we planted it. And it died a year ago, 2 years ago. But there was this one tiny little sticking out of it that had growth in it. So we have not had the heart to do anything with the tree, right? Because we know this stick is going to grow.
Yeah.
And so I went to that tree, and it's so tiny. I didn't have my back to it because I would have, killed it. I actually turned and like cross-legged around it. And as I was connecting into its energy, the first thing I did was I said, we want you to be here. We want you to grow. We want you to be here. And then when you kind of go down the roots, I realized how shallow its roots were. The roots were there from the existing tree.
Right.
But this one is connected to is so shallow. And there was like this barrier underneath it.
Yeah.
And what I saw is that we've got this one swatch of backyard where it's like marsh,
Mm-hmm.
underground water. I have no idea. We can't grow a dang thing in it. And what I saw was that this tree also has got way too much water underneath it. It's not going to be able to grow there.
No.
So I get that message. We'll figure out what to do with that. And then I thought, well, I don't want to miss out on all of this meditation. So my mind's eye went down further, and there was this massive connection of roots everywhere, just so thick and so rich. And the energy of it was very deep brown. If brown can be a feeling, it was just so brown and full and expansive. And I can't wait to get back down there and explore a little bit about that. It reminded me of a shamanic journey I had taken before going down there. But I have to take care of my little tree because it's not going to make it there.
No, you've got to move it to another spot. And it sounds like you have an underground spring there. And
Yep.
that's why it's so wet.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, time to move the tree. But it is interesting, isn't it, that you went further and you found all of those the roots, because the trees and everything, they all connect to one another, and this is, it's such an exciting part as well, because they nourish one another, and if one of them is not doing well, they can nourish one another. But I'm glad we went down there today, because now you know to move that tree. So that's great. So
Life today.
yes, yeah, no, that's really good. But yeah, it's and what you were saying there before about Mother Earth. I was reading something, and it was a message from a tree, and the tree said, I have to accept all that I need to survive: grandfather's sun to grow, the moonlight for fertility, water to quench my thirst, earth to nourish me, wind to help me let go of my old leaves and branches, therefore allowing room for my seed to sprout and spread once more. And last but not least, fire to burn the negative, reminding us to accept that there is dark and shadow in a corner somewhere at some point on the earth. But in Australia, a lot of our native trees need fire to break open the kernel of the nut for them to then grow another tree. And so this is why, you know, in Australia we do have lots of bushfires, because that's how nature is looking after those trees. And so as hard as it is when we do have a bushfire, that's when they just need to learn how to control them and fight them properly. And once again, the Indigenous people are showing that, you know, there are ways, because they were here long before us. And so there were ways that they could do fire breaks, and they used to do burn offs without burning down the whole forest. And so I think that in a lot of countries, you know, the Indigenous people are getting their voices heard more and more. I know it's a little bit different over there in America at the moment, but, you know, I think in Australia they're trying to bring more and more Indigenous people into firefighting, for out in the country, not in the city, but for out in the country, because we do need the shadow side. We do need the fire. Don't have the shadow, we don't know what the light is, and we can't appreciate it for what it really is. So, no, it's all about the balance, isn't it?
It is.
It's so important for us all. So, and well, we've been talking a little bit, Anaya and I, about the shift in consciousness that we all need to make. You know, I was at a webinar from my Reiki teacher last weekend, and we were talking about the metaphysics of COVID and all of those things. And it's a universal consciousness. It's where the universal consciousness is at the moment. There's a lot of anger, a lot of unhappiness. We need to bring joy and peace and love and harmony into the universal consciousness. So, you know, if we can all be doing those things and going out amongst the trees, going out into nature, and relishing and being thankful for what we actually have, because we have so much. And you know, people just, if you just stop and think about it, you know. Anyway, that's sort of what I like to think about. You know, when I go out into the trees, it's a universal life force that's all around us. Makes the plants grow, gives us all the air to breathe, helps us with our healing and all of those things. And the trees are such an amazing part of all of that. So,
Carol, Kim has a question, which is, if she goes out and she says to a tree, "I love you," that message from her?
yes, the tree will get that message from her. We can talk to the trees about anything, but they love us to appreciate them. And you know, they love it. If there's some trees you can't plant little flowers around, but you know, if you come across a flower that's been broken, or that you sort of know it's coming to, you know, you can pick it. If you're able to pick it, just plant it, put it beside the tree. Don't plant it, just, this is a gift for you. I love you, and this is my gift for you. But you don't necessarily have to give them a gift, but they do love getting gifts. They're like fairies. Fairies and gnomes and everybody love little gifts if you leave them out little gifts and things. So, you know, I think that this is one of the exciting gifts. And when you build a fairy garden, you know, you don't have to do a whole lot of fairies out in the garden or anything like that. You know, it can be just a matter of a couple of little shells, but you know, you're putting the intention there. And so this is the thing with the, you know, wanting to tell the tree that you love it. That's the intention. And, you know, you can either say it out loud or you can say it in your mind. Just like when we, you know, I'd love it if everybody every morning went and looked in the mirror and said, I love you. I love you exactly the way that you are. And we can do that with our trees, our plants, everything. And, you know, as you're doing this thing and you're building up this energy that's all around, it's just beautiful. It doesn't mean we're not going to have a bad day here and there, because, as we said, we need the shadow side as well. But to be able to come from a place of love, kindness, compassion, generosity. And generosity is not necessarily giving somebody something material. It can be giving them your love. It can be just being there to support them. So, you know, there's so many ways that we can learn from nature. You know, they're like our silent sentinels, they just told me. We're your sentinels and we're here guarding you and looking after you, loving you, breathing oxygen, you know, bringing oxygen out to you and all of these things. And you know, when we just stop and take a few moments to breathe and to think and to just allow ourselves to step into that unconscious place and just feel the love that Mother Earth, the Creator, the angels, our guides, everybody has for us. You know, it's such a better place for us all to be. And, you know, to be out in the trees, and I'm going to be up with the cows in a couple of hours up on the farm. And, you know, how exciting is that for a city slicker girl? So, you know, I think just to allow ourselves to be children sometimes, really. Let our inner child out to play. And, you know, we'll be surprised.
I love that, Carol. Thank you so much for all this. Terry, what about you? The trees, do they hold a special energy for you?
They do. You know, I grew up in the mountains. So I grew up surrounded by trees, playing in the trees and climbing in the mountain where all the trees were. But I have something special I wanted to share. It happened, I believe it was 2 years ago. I live in a neighborhood that's, you know, the people keep their lawns and everything really pristine and everything's always beautiful. So one day I was driving home and it was during the holidays. And as I'm driving down my street, I see all these red ribbons that had been tied around the trees for decoration.
No.
And I'm driving down the street and I actually, it was a good thing. I actually heard,
Oh, good.
beautiful. And I heard the trees just like, look at me, you know, I'm getting attention. So they respond to your energy, paying attention to them, just like people respond to you paying attention to us. You know, if you see somebody that's a little down and you give them a smile,
Yeah.
how that changes their energy. So seeing all these trees with this beautiful decoration, it was like they were saying, aren't we beautiful? Aren't we beautiful? And people that had never really seen them, never really paid attention, you know, they were there. But you don't just drive around and say, oh, look at that tree. But when there's something that sticks out that makes you look, it's like that tree is getting attention.
Yeah.
So we can do that without the red ribbons, you know?
Yes, we can.
That with just acknowledging their existence and just saying hello and saying I love you. Carol, I love it when you said that. Energy responds to love. It's the highest frequency that we can give out from us.
Yeah.
So if you go to a tree and you say I love you, it responds to that energy.
It does.
Same as it would respond to negative energy if somebody's really, you know, being mean and cruel and saying nasty things to it, it's going to respond to that energy in a different way. So we can appreciate, and this comes from my Native American roots too, appreciate the energy and the purpose of that tree being there. Everything has purpose.
Yes.
So tree that you come across, just say thank you for being here. Thank you for what you're doing in our world. And I love you. Just say that. I love you. I bless you and I thank you. And I always ask the tree, what can I do for you? You know, you do so much for the world. What can I do for you? And how can I help you to be stronger and to grow to your full potential? So I always ask that question when I'm out in nature and talking to the trees. And then I just listen and hear this beautiful, it's almost like a sigh that you get, like the appreciation coming.
Yes. And it is like a sigh, isn't it? It's almost audible. You can feel it in your core and in your energy field. The reason I said oh no was sometimes if they're going to knock trees down, if they're building a road or something, they put ribbons around them. That was why I was a bit shocked. But no. That's a good one. I love that. That's really good. Really good. So yeah.
I'm smiling because Anaya just left a comment. She said, just remember to take anything you tie around a tree to take it off again, because the tree, as the tree grows, it can be very constricting and cut into the tree.
That's true. They leave it on for a certain period of time during the holidays, and then they all come back off.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really good. And you know, this is it. They're like us. You know, we like it when somebody, you know, gives us a nice message or sends us some energy or, you know, appreciates us for what we've done. And so the trees are exactly the same. The flowers are exactly the same, you know, and so, you know, we're also interwoven. You know, we're interconnected is probably more the word, interconnected. And as we learn and we grow and we experience, I just find it so exciting. You know, sometimes I am like a little child and sometimes I'm not. But you know, when I'm sort of experiencing something new like all of this, it's yeah, I just love it because I've because we were doing the tree spirits today. It, you know, it took me on a different adventure because, you know, I was doing a little bit more reading up and things like that because yes, I had experience with trees, but it's nice to read, and there's a lot of work that, you know, people coming from a druid perspective are you know, looking at trees and things like that. So you know, the more that we can do and bring it to everybody's attention and just how much we can appreciate it, that's the most important thing. Love it and appreciate it for what it is, and thank it for being there.
Yes.
This is great. Ladies, I love you so much. And I'm so thankful for our friends that are watching with us. We've got some folks that have been here the whole time. Gabby and Kim, Catherine Kovacs just joined us. Robert is with us and Naya. It's so great to have you all with us.
It is. It's wonderful. Thank you for being here, everyone.
Right. So we do have a couple more shows
Yeah.
for Energies of the New World, and Carol is graciously going to join us for those. I'm so pleased. So to those of you that are listening, we love you so much. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for being with us on this journey. It's so much fun. I'm having so much fun. I hope you guys are as well.
Yes, it is. It's wonderful, and I love it that people are interested and wanting to know more. I think that's exciting, and I love everybody being here. And I thank you for having me here. It's great, and that I can share this with everybody.
Oh, our pleasure. So Terry, any last words before we say goodnight?
Go hug a tree.
Yeah.
I mean, we laugh about it and we hear, you know, oh, that's the tree huggers. It really does something to your energy.
Yeah.
You're giving of your energy, but you're going to receive back just as much as you give.
Yes.
There's really a blessing when you do that. I have a tree right outside my front door, and I'm on good terms with that tree. I go up and talk to it all the time, and you know, just check on it, see how it's doing. We've had some really intense thunderstorms here lately with a lot of lightning, and so I always go out and check on the tree and make sure it's okay by the lightning. But seriously, go out in nature. Nature is healing, and when you can find that connection with the trees and the tree energy, you'll really be blessed.
Yeah.
I love that we're doing this and that we spotlighted trees in this one. It's one of my favorite things in the world. So thank you. And thank you, Carol, for all that great information that you shared with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. I just love doing it. And I love being on Enlightened World with you beautiful ladies. And I love everybody out there.
All right, so friends, we're going to let you go for tonight. Have a fabulous rest of the evening or rest of the day, depending on your time zone. We look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. So, wait, Terry, you're going to come on. You're going to be chanting tonight, right?
Yes, at 9 o'clock tonight. In about an hour, I will be on with Karen Palmer and any guests who want to jump in there with us on the Zoom. We all chant together.
Okay, and when that's over, we've got Sweet Dreams Restream, which is the meditation a day played for you as you fall asleep at night. So having a blast with you all. Love you so much. You all take good care. God bless.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.